Coming to you live from the Australian Age of Dinosaurs Museum, and I'm here with David Elliott. How you going, David?
I'm going good, Chris. How you going?
Good, mate. Good. David's the executive chairman for Australian Age of Dinosaurs Museum. Not allowed to say the. And it's just out of Winton and just north of Longreach. So it took me about 2 hours to drive here from Longreach. Nice drive. Saw a few wedge-tailed eagles on the road, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Few kangaroos too.
Yeah, not the bouncy type. They were the lying down. So, David, mate, I'll just cut to a video while we have a chat, and you can. Well, first of all, I'd like to know a little bit about your background. So, tell me about yourself. And
Well, I'm just come from along probably 3 generations of graziers, which are called sheep cockies. So I've always had a farming background, and really my family's still involved in. My sons are still running the property, so I've spent my whole life on the properties really, only except in the last 10 or 15 years when we started finding a few dinosaur bones in the district, and the Australian Age of Dinosaurs Museum came from that. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. And so this was my entrance coming into the museum, so I'll just cut to that. Mate, why is this museum important for this area?
Oh, there's probably a lot of reasons, because I think it's good culturally for a whole district, and it's good culturally for people all over the world to see what see Australian dinosaurs, and for education and tourism and all that sort of stuff. But the biggest thing for me is that I'm sort of passionate about trying to keep the region alive. I want to see future generations of farmers and people in the West have good towns to live in, and the living standards of the country and the world are rising really quick, and you see them in the towns and they're struggling, and I don't see that coming ahead, and the only way we can do that is to get new businesses and new investments into these towns, because the farming sector is struggling to keep up. A lot less people being employed, a lot less money in it. Droughts are still here, and they don't ever seem to go away. And so, we've got to look for other things to keep these towns viable. And let's face it, they're an important part of the infrastructure of Australia. Without these little towns, you're going to go down and you're not going to get petrol. So it's important that we keep them going.
Exactly. And so the museum is home to many bones, and you bring a lot of the bones that you find out in the paddocks back here, and they get touched up a bit, and then they get stuck in cases for everybody to look at. Is that about right?
That's sort of it. Yeah, that's sort of it. When you find a dinosaur site, you find a few just off the top of the ground. So you've got to have a dinosaur there. Because you're getting earth moving machinery. We can't see the big. It takes about 13 weeks. It's only about 3 weeks a year, so it's very limited. But that raises the money to hold those digs, So it's only since we started doing that about 12, 15 years ago that we're starting to find a lot of material, a lot of dinosaur bones. And so they come up here, we prepare them, we get all the rock off them, and then of course the scientists then can come and look at them and say, oh, this is a new species of dinosaur, and we'll name it so and so. And so in the type room just behind us actually is where we've got the bones of 3 of Australia's holotype specimens, just descriptive of their species. Yeah, pretty amazing.
So that's the building that's showing now, which is where we're sitting right now in the gift shop. And like you said, in the room that's about to show, there's a lot of bones in there. And something special about that room, it's kept at a certain temperature to preserve the bones. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. Well, because they're holotype specimens, they've got to be. The whole idea is that they're kept there forever, because scientists from all around the world, if they see if we find a new dinosaur anywhere in Australia or around the world, they compare them to these animals, and so if you've got the name bearers of a species of, say, Diamantinosaurus, well, first thing you've got to do when you find a dinosaur somewhere around here, you've got to go and check and say, now, is that Diamantinosaurus? No, it's not. Is it Savanosaurus? No. Wintonotitan? No. So it might be a different one. So, they've got to be kept in perpetuity. So that's what the whole role of the Australian Age of Dinosaurs Museum is, as far as getting these bones out there.
And then we took a little trek across in your truck to the next feature, and there was a bit of a walk to go on. Tell us a bit about that walk.
Yeah, well, we always used to have a lot of trouble. People would come here and we'd see all these beautiful big bones in the shed being prepared, people taking rock off them. They come in here and see all these beautiful big bones of the dinosaurs that have been prepared, and they say, what's it? But there's no real dinosaurs, So that's what we did with Dinosaur Canyon. It's called Dinosaur Canyon, and we did a billabong, muddy billabong with bones in it, and then we walk down the walkway, and you've got bronze dinosaurs acting or interacting as they would have in their own natural environments. Say little pterosaurs sitting on a rock, and mob of little like stampeding dinosaurs, like out at Dinosaur Stampede National Monument, jumping off rocks and hurling themselves into space and all this sort of stuff. So it's pretty amazing, and people love it. It's not. I prefer the bones, myself. I love the natural history side of it, but it's amazing how many people want to see real dinosaurs. Yeah.
Yeah. So we are seeing a bit of that on screen at the moment, and it's quite a great little walk. A lot of infrastructure you put in place there, because we're alluding to something else coming at the end of that walkway, and there's some more of those dinosaurs, actual size they were too, weren't they?
That's right. Yeah, everything is done at actual size, and we've done that. They're based on the known sizes of what those dinosaurs would have been, either on bones or footprints or whatever.
So at the end of that walk, there is a new building planned, I understand.
That's right. Yeah. Well, what we've got so far is Australian Age of Dinosaurs with a shed, with a prep shed. It's just the back of house eventually, and the reception centre is eventually the reception centre for the new museum, which is 2 kilometres further around, and it's just opposite Dinosaur Canyon. And you'll walk down Dinosaur Canyon, get in a lift, and go up into it, and you'll go into the Australian Age of Dinosaurs Museum of Natural History. Now
that's right there.
That's right there. Yeah. And right at that spot, you can cross across a little bridge, and you'll go up into the new museum. Really, really important part of the future of Australia, the new museum, because that's what this whole thing is about. We've been working on it for 15 years now, and it's getting closer and closer, and it's getting to the stage now that it's going so fast that we're trying to slow it down a little bit because it's growing too fast. You need to consolidate as you go along. But that new museum will play a huge role in getting major groups of people out into Western Queensland. So we've just been meeting with major tourist operators up north. So looking at getting major infrastructure into these towns and building a large international audience of visitors. So we need that to happen. And it's happening. It's happening actually pretty fast. So.
Yeah. And so there's something pretty special here also, not just dinosaur bones and fossils that I believe has just sort of come to light, so to speak. It's a great place to view stars, I understand.
That's right. Yeah. Well, it's part of a whole new thing. We've just been, over the last 12 months, we've been doing readings, night readings, so it's light readings of the sky. And the skies here, the light readings that we've got over that last 12 months last year, they're as good as anything in the world, and they're just like some of the best in the world, and the only ones as good as them are in Australia anyway. So it's a beautiful area for that. So we're developing a dark sky sanctuary here, and that will open night tourism up, because then we can start we're building a small observatory. Well, we're looking for funding for that right now, actually. So I'm hoping that's going to come through, because it's a really important step for the new museum. But it's more than anything, it's an important step to start getting people here to stay out in the district, out in the western districts overnight, and introduce night tourism, stars, dinosaurs, sound light shows down through Dinosaur Canyon. We can do all of that, and it can compete with anything in the world. So
it was planned. It's basically right beside the museum, and it's going to be out in this cleared area here.
That's right. And if you look at that Big Bear area, that's going to be a meteorite impact crater, a monstrous great impact crater with this dirty great meteorite in it, and the meteorite will be the building, and you'll go up in it, and it'll be an open platform, and the observatory will be in there. And it's fairly simple to do. It's only concrete. We can do anything. Yeah. So that's the next thing. The funding's hopefully going to be announced in July or June, July, and I'm really hoping it's going to come through, because once we can get that done, we're pretty well ready to start on the Natural History Museum. We should be starting to get enough people and enough product that we can run it. So we're just getting there.
So once again, David, why is this super important? And I think you alluded to it in a conversation earlier, that there's a drought on. It's 5 years, declared to be a 5-year drought. And what's happened to the population of the town in that time?
Oh, people leaving, a lot of people leaving, and a lot of people are, especially the farmers, they're not making any money at all. In fact, they've made no money for a long time. So, with people in danger of losing their properties and leaving. And the whole district that is fairly well geared like historically anyway. Winton has been geared for grazing, for the grazing industry, and got trucking industries and all those sort of things. But when there's no stock, that all dries up and people leave. Well, it's very hard to get them back. And this is the beauty of the museum. We've only got 24 people working through winter here so far, but about 8 of them built houses and bought houses in towns. So we're starting to get people back in that way, but it's not enough. So we've got to encourage major investment into the towns with like new infrastructure in the way of motels and things like that. And tourism is our only real way of keeping those towns viable. And I'm passionate about that, because I want to see my kids grow up to have a town like I grew up to have a town. I don't want to see it die.
No. And there was something else though. You said earlier that the connectivity here that you have here has the potential to reach unbelievable speeds, which could allude to maybe some tele-education.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So what's those speeds?
Well, at the moment, we're looking at 30 megabits per second just as a starting point. We can go up to several hundred. So it's going to get up there. And we've got that ability now, but we don't really need it right now. But it's going to get to that. And what we want to do is start video conferencing into the schools. So we're just in the process of setting that up, so that we can take what we've got here into the classrooms all over the country and all around the world, for that matter. That just takes museum to the people and gets them to see what is actually happening and what we're trying to do, which is build Australia's Natural History Museum. So it's not just about dinosaurs, it's about telling the story of how Australia has evolved over the last 4.5 billion years. It's a big story, and particularly how life has evolved over the last 600 million years in particular. You've got your different time periods, your different forms of life that have come through, and they're exposed in different areas all over this country. So those fossils will be on display in this museum with interpretations of how our little world, or our little part of the world, has evolved. And that should be a part of every kid's, upbringing, and every kid's education. Because it's important if they know if they know where their country's come from, or know where our continent has come from, then the more they know about where it's come from, the better they're going to understand where it's going, and the better they're going to help to look after it in the future.
Yep. Yeah, if you want to know the future, you've got to look back in the past first.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic, because if you're diversifying, I guess, the amount of offerings from here, you're going to require different skill sets, which, all of the digital people that are going to need to put all that education together, and the production of it, and potentially, you could take it further, virtual reality tours and all that sort of stuff. That is actually going to have to bring local people to the town. So it's all going to work together, isn't it, to help diversify the economy of the local town, and it's fantastic.
Service industries, all your service industries of the town, and like everything you do in there, someone's got to run it, someone's got to clean the sheets, you create businesses in the town, and that's what's important. So it's not just about tourism, it's about jobs that the tourism create in town. No, it's not just trying to get more people into the motels. It's more about creating that infrastructure that needs to be serviced by those local people. So then you get people in there, and I always look at it as like an extinction vortex. You get to a position where suddenly there's not enough people in the town to even run a few shops, so the shops start closing, and it just spirals downwards. Whereas you want it spiraling upwards. So you're adding things, and the next minute there's jobs being created all the time, because people need more men or ladies or whatever to work in shops or whatever it might be, and so that starts to come together. That's really important. So it's just like starting something and getting it to move. You don't try and do it all overnight. You just keep building slowly.
Well, that's one more reason, David, that I think you guys out there, locals in Winton and Longreach, should be coming to the Startup Weekend. Starts tonight, actually, in Longreach, and you should be coming down there. Look it up on the internet. We'll put a link in the comments, and you need to come, because basically it's going to help you take those ideas, maybe some of David's, and help bring them into your local economy. Thanks very much for your time, David. It's been a pleasure.
No, thank you, Chris. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Keep watching. Plenty more interviews coming to you live on facebook.com/Beach City Life. And we're also on YouTube. Just search for Beach City. Cheers.